나온 데서 이거 새끼 해봐야 돼. 태우기 되게 너무 부족한데. 시카고 맨 아웃렛 타운에 들어있어. 내가 스타트 다시 다녀. 그래서 서베청 소주마에 남이 어디서 얘네 전문이나 얘들 야 라바 잡동 아이지 라바 매야 된다 야 라바 잡구나 어디서 나오면 아우 다 왔어
We got it. They had it for us. Dingin na parang ito. Carbon yan ay.
이러지 갈리는 저에 잠 중자에나 잠 중자에나 들어 응? 와우.
Alrighty, good afternoon, everyone. Controlling Sightseeing 75-minute architecture tour. My name is John. We're pastor tonight. Have your tickets out and ready for our sales team. They're up there. We're going to scan your tickets if they have to go. Once those are scanned, they're going to take some pre-boarding photos. Now, after those, they're going to get you off the Bright Star. Once we're on the Bright Star, we have a couple of amenities for you. Straight down the stairs at the back of the boat, you're going to find your bartender, Zach. He's down there serving up beer, wine, and soda, mixed drinks, bottles of water, chips, pretzels, and peanuts, coffee, tea. Just past the bar, the right hand side is the restroom. You'll get the those. Walk around, take some photos, find a seat, grab a drink, and it's up to you for the next 20 minutes. But after that, we are ready to go on an override. So welcome aboard, everyone. Architecture moves in the direction of cheaper, faster, and stronger, and that is not the goal for it. It's going to be our long rights. It's going to be cheaper to build.
What's the better?
Oh boy.
Okay, let's go. Sorry.
Oh yeah, so I got
Oh.
not at the moment, or?
Bridge we're going under is Du Sable Bridge, which is also named after the father of the city, Jean-Baptiste Pont du Sable. I want to mention too, this is a great opportunity on our boat tour today. While we are on this boat, you have a special power. Anyone you wave at, whether it's on the bridges, on the side, is very likely to wave back at you. I recommend using it. With great power comes great responsibility. As we come off onto this bridge here, straight ahead of us we have a blue glass and steel tower. This is Trump Tower, built by architect Adrian Smith. Adrian Smith is known as the tallest architect in the world because of his work on other buildings like the Burj Khalifa. This building is enormous. It's the second tallest in the city, behind the Sears Tower, and it's what's called a contextualist building. So you know, picture any building. No building is really ever standing on its own. Buildings have certain like stylistic norms. You know, some buildings in certain cities will take on a certain character that's different from other places. Some cities have a lot of bricks, some places have a lot of blue glass buildings. This building is contextualist, not just because of the blue glass that reflects that sky or reflects the water itself, but because it has setbacks at different height. Setbacks are where the building cuts in at these smaller towers. The first setback is the same height as the Wrigley building itself. The second setback on the other side here cuts straight across and is the same height as the Jewelers building, that Beaux-Arts building with the cupolas that we'll talk about a little later on the tour. So it communicates directly with its surroundings through some important cues. One other thing I want to point out, that I'm going to point out throughout our tour, this is a feature that's continuous along the entire Chicago Riverwalk area. This building also follows the 30-foot setback rule, which requires that these businesses don't build up to the coast itself, but actually allow accessible space for pedestrians to be able to enjoy the river as well. This is an important part of the kind of ethic of buildings throughout the city. I want to point out these corncob towers on our right. We'll get a better look at them after we cross under the bridge here. These are two of the most photographed buildings within Chicago. Built by Bertrand Goldberg in the 1960s, these have a few really important design philosophies to them. One of them is, as you can see, these are not buildings that are built with that standard, all straight right angles and hard lines on the outside. These have very natural sloping organic curves, not just on the outside, but also on the inside with crescent-shaped rooms. Probably much harder to design for. They also, in a concept that's much more popular today, but was very new, revolutionary at the time, have a lot of mixed-use space in what he was trying to design as a city within a city. These were built in the 1960s at a time when the river was not nearly as pretty as it looks today. The river was very important throughout Chicago history, even today, as not just an industrial shipping area, but also, until the last few decades, as an industrial dumping ground. A lot of waste went into the river. This is one of the first few buildings to really turn towards the river and to try to attract people to live near the riverside at a time when, other than these buildings, there was a ton of nothing but industry all along the riverside here. And if you can swim it, they also have parking for your luxury yachts. I want to point out this building on our left, this tall blue glass steel building, warehouse. Think of the jungle by Upton Sinclair. This building had no windows whatsoever to allow for that freezing to happen, but when they wanted to do the conversion and had to cut out the windows, after they waited 6 full months for the actual building to thaw, and then were able to start working, when they started to make those cuts into the wall, they found a very homemade insulation made out of horsehair, cork, and styrofoam that was actually fairly successfully keeping that building warm. One historical landmark from 1899, here's another one. This one is the old Kinsey Street Bridge. As you can see, it's not currently in use. Anytime you come, whether it's night or day, spring, summer, fall, or winter, this bridge will always be standing up just like this. It is designated as a historical landmark, but it does still work. And they test that once a year by bringing the bridge down, driving a truck across it, making sure it still functions. That is in part to uphold Chicago's legacy as the second, out of all the cities in the world, having the second most functioning movable bridges behind Amsterdam. I actually just learned today that Pittsburgh is the city with the first most non-movable bridges. They have lower bridges that don't need to move because they don't have as much high boats that would come through to necessitate them being able to go up. But all of our bridges do have the capacity to rise. Each arm of the bridges that we're passing under, most of them have 2 arms. Each one weighs several thousand tons. So there's actually a fairly clever gearbox mechanism that makes this all happen. That you can see in a museum on the DuSable Bridge. You can actually step in and see the gearbox function itself. As we step onto the north branch here, we just left behind Wolf Point. We just saw all those massive office buildings, and what do we not see in the skyline right here? We've just crossed a tiny bit into River North, and already we see a very, very different ethic of developing. Not nearly as many buildings, and the buildings we do see look a lot more residential than office. I think this is a very good snapshot of what Chicago has to offer. As you switch from one neighborhood to the next, sometimes you have very large shifts in the character of everything around you, from the buildings, from the designs, from the types of arts you do or don't see. And here we kind of have this picture here, where we have residential on one side with a nice private walkway, and we kind of have this industrial building here that looks like it's been refitted. And we'll see throughout a lot of the ways that Chicago as a city kind of merges the industrial aesthetic, of these bridges, of this cross racing, all this very visible ironwork right next to its residential and its green spaces. I'm gonna get off the mic for just a minute or two while we make our turnaround here. This is a good opportunity if you want to visit the bathroom down below or visit Zach, our bartender. I'll step through. If anyone has any questions, feel free to stop me. I'm glad to answer those. And I'll be back on in just 2 or so minutes. Thanks. As we cross under the current Kinsey Street Bridge here, I want to mention this was the site of the Dave Matthews Band incident, if anyone's familiar with that. Coming up on our right, at river level here, we have Harry Weasley's River Cottages. These were built in the 1980s, and I think these are incredible. They have a lot of triangle shapes, Terry Reese was a sailor. He had a very avid love of sailing. So we see porthole windows, we see the light blue that merges so nicely with that feeling of being on the riverside like this. In the 1980s, still the river was not clean. So these are also one set of buildings that was revolutionary in turning towards the river and having so many windows right at the riverside to encourage this type of revitalization of the river and to gradually start to turn it less as a place where pollution went to, flow, and instead a place where it can be a spectacle within itself. So at the site of the old Quincy Street Bridge, there was actually one major Chicago disaster that happened back in 1992, very recent memory. Does anyone remember the 1992 Chicago flood? Oh, a few people, yes. So there were workers that were putting in structural columns at the site here. They punctured just a little bit too deep in one of the columns and made a crack in one of the clay walls that leads to Chicago's underground. As water trickled through, the clay wall eroded more and more until it was eventually several meters wide, big enough for a car to be driven through entirely. After the city failed to plug the hole with a lot of mattresses, they had to do a more robust effort. They sent home people from the downtown, sending home people from the stores, sending home office workers, and had to shut down the entire city for a few days, spending somewhere between $2 to $4 million to accomplish the full cleanup and repair the damages. Here's another place where we can peek into Chicago's underground. These vents on the side are to let off exhaust from an Amtrak line that goes under this building here. This building here itself, River Point Tower, another sleek, modern office building, contextual style. It has this very nice curve along the front, matching the curve of the river itself. That's something we're going to see a lot along the river. Right in front of it, we have a Santiago Calatrava statue, this red swirly in the front. Chicago has a very robust arts and culture scene that, again, throughout, depending on what neighborhood, what area you're in, you're going to see very different iterations of it. If you go a few blocks into downtown here at Daly Plaza, there's a 1970s Picasso statue. It is a nice day of entertainment and fun. True to its name, Navy Pier during World War I was holding for prisoners of war. In World War II, it was a training place for pilots to come up and landing on the streets. Now, our captain's going to pause for just a moment as we make our turn here. This is a beautiful moment not to miss if you want some nice sunset pictures of the skyline here. I'll pause for just a minute to take some nice pictures here. If you want to take, now's also a good opportunity to visit the bathroom and to visit Zach, our bartender, down below. I'll be back in just a minute or two.
마법 프로그램 잔디스 아자 치카고 시티 पूरा घुमिसक्यो बस गरम फर्केर जाँदैछु ल हिँड्ने